Hey, realest one, peace, blessings, love, prosperity, all of that. All of that. So yeah, I touched on this subject like multiple others did when it hit the net. I went live around that time, but I didn't really dive into it the way I feel like I wanted to and I could have. So I decided to spin the block in upload form, right? I decided to not just revisit it, but breathe life into it, for lack of a better term, this controversial subject, because it speaks volumes. It really does speak volumes, whether man or woman, huh? In this case, it does involve a woman. As you would guess, there were and still, I'm sure, are a plethora of different perspectives, opinions, reactions to this type of thing. These type of topics, they pop up maybe like every other week, if not every week. It's one of those topics that stand the test of time because it demands a reaction from both sides, men and women. You can imagine how the comments looked at when this type of thing popped up. But it's always like that. Some women might actually agree with the woman in this situation. Some might understand the man's position, if nothing else. The words, I know my worth. What do those words mean in actuality for a woman? The words, I know my worth. Respectfully, I'm getting at something there. Walk with me, walk with me. When some say the words, know my worth, usually it's just a woman pretty much saying, I know what I want, I know what I need, I'm not compromising, no debate, either get with it or get lost, right? That pretty much hit it on the head. So I've said this before, I believe, and I got no issue saying it again. I definitely stand on it. I do genuinely feel that some women use those words, I know my worth, as justification and a cop out for ignorance and even disrespect at times in certain situations pertaining to men, so that they can go about handling things to their liking without having to address or feel any way about it after the fact. Anything that might be questionable morally, so that they can criticize, humiliate, violate, tear a man down from his looks to his pockets. And the response is gonna be after uh I know my worth. Hmm? Some of them gonna wear that out every time. And after a while, it's like basically an excuse to do fuck shit. That's how it comes off to me. Not every time, but sometimes. So after this chick named, I want to say Shan Lavelle, I'll just call her Shan. It don't really matter. This woman went to social media and put the business out there involving her and her husband, well, soon to be ex-husband, and posted this long statement talking about, oh, she filed for divorce, and more importantly, why she filed. And this is what she said. And I quote, I need to get this off my chest. I came home from work and my husband told me he lost his job. I really tried to be a good wife and hold things down for about 30 days. I was tired of being the man of the house, so I went out with his friend, and one thing led to the next. His friend cashed out on me and showed me an amazing time. Hmm. I miss being treated like a woman, and had my husband not lost his job, this wouldn't have happened. He's calling me a cheater, but his job as a man was to provide. I was not wrong, and I refuse for him and his family to tarnish my name. Today makes 2 years since my husband proposed to me, married in June. When I said yes to a protector and a provider. I did not agree to marry a man that would end up broke at some point in our lives. I'm an extremely beautiful woman. She said extremely. And I deserve a man that knows his job is to always take care of me and mine. So I did what I did because promises were made to me that were broken. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I'm the best thing that ever happened to that man. And I will be even better to my next husband. Exclamation point about 6, 5 times, 7 times. With that being said, I filed for divorce. Oh, there you go. More exclamation points. She continued on by saying, a man who can't provide can't lead. How can I trust a man to be head of household when he could provide for house? As a man, there should never be a time that you can't financially take care of your woman and kids. I'm standing firm on my decision because the least my husband could have done was agree to paying me back. She said the least my husband could have done was agree to paying me back. I'm not having trouble reading. I just had to make sure I seen that. Uh, if he refused to pay me back after 1 month of paying bills, then I had to pay bills for 6 months before he got a job. I wouldn't have gotten my money back. I got out of my marriage, my apologies, before I ended up having to take care of a man. And then she leaves it off with, I know my worth. So let's run it down for the one time. After her man, who evidently held her down from the time he met her, did all the things women like, styling, profiling, dropped a bag on her, in other words, huh? She gets used to the lifestyle, boom, he proposes to her. He found something he wants to wife, boom, that's all it takes. She loves everything he had been doing for her. She says yes. He got the bag, so she financially no longer has anything to worry about, not a damn thing to worry about since meeting this dude. So, of course, yeah, she says yes, boom, they get married. 2 years later, he unfortunately loses his job, which obviously means the lifestyle she'd been used to for the past 2 years changes dramatically, right? He tells her, baby, I done lost my job. So when that happens, it's time for her to step up a little bit. According to her, and after about 30 days of doing what she says she was tired of doing, which is stepping up, she went out with the man's friend, who she say cashed out on her. Showed her a good time. And you already know how that go. She say she missed being treated like a woman. Okay. But then she also said this. Had he not lost his job, this wouldn't have happened. So Brody and his fam, I'm guessing, found out and probably outed her to everybody who knew them as a couple, like everybody in their community. She said she had a problem with that. She said they were tarnishing her name. According to her, she did not one thing wrong in that whole situation. He should have provided, and she ain't having her name being drugged by him and the fam. Her whole thing is once the promise of being provided for was broken, she felt it was a go. If he can't hold it down, surely the homie can, and old girl didn't waste a second. There never should have been a time a man can't provide for the family. It was as simple as that for her, and that was her reasoning for creeping. But it don't stop there. She said the least the husband could have done was pay me back. She felt she should have got paid back for everything she put in those 30 days' time, even though he had been doing it for 2 years. Okay, okay. Now, it's the norm to hear a woman say, I ain't trying to take care of a man. Okay, okay. It's the norm for the woman to be the one provided for in these situations. Okay, okay. But I'm not gonna lie, fam. This chick here a little bit different. She a little different. Oh yeah. The entitlement, the nerve, no accountability. Honestly speaking, I'm not gonna lie. I think old boy's friend did him a favor when he bought her off. Cause frankly, if you can buy a human off of another human, they wasn't really worth that much anyway. So she literally pointed out nothing good about the guy who was supposed to be her husband for the past 2 years. Literally nothing good at all to say about this man. Is she the one who agreed to marry him in the first place? Gotta love it. So you loved everything he had to offer and could do financially. You loved anything and everything given and bought that was materialistic. But that's no pun intended. But that's where the buck stopped. She sure enough never loved anything else if it didn't involve him coming out of pocket. That much is clear. This is why I say to men, make sure if you want to be tied down with a woman, that it's a woman who's not just there to subtract, but add on. Make sure you know her character enough to understand she would never walk out on you at the worst possible time in your life. When you have nothing else, when you're at your lowest point as a man, it don't get no colder than that. Instead of her highlighting anything good about the man, she just straight tore him down. She tore him a new one. After smashing his man's insult to injury, if insult to injury had a picture, I gotta ask, do y'all agree with the way she handled the situation and her reasoning for it? Man or woman? I'm not opposed to opposite perspective. Just keep it respectful. My own personal perspective, though, I see nothing to respect about any person. Notice I said any person, man or woman, that would only that only sticks around for the benefits they get from being with that person. Everything was all copacetic as long as she was happy. While he was concerned about her happiness, so was she. Completely one sided. Can't make this up. She actually had the nerve to speak on who owes who in the situation, fam. Notice how she ain't mentioned anything he invested in her. It was what she invested in him, and she wanted that back. No appreciation for the time he was handling business. No appreciation for the money he did spend. She was only able to look at it from her view. Point blank, period. Nothing else to talk about. They were still in the marriage while she crept with the homie. She actually did pay him back for everything he had done those past 2 years. She did. She paid him back by jumping on his friend's sack. Mm-hmm. Talking about how she had to step up when he was down bad, like actually complaining. And I'm thinking, Trick, ain't that what a wife's supposed to do when her man is in a slump? Play your role as a queen and make sure your king is good, the same as the king did and had been doing for you? Like, for real, like, what man would want to spend a moment or a minute, let alone the rest of his life, with such an inconsiderate, arrogant, ungrateful, deceptive soul of a human? For lack of better words, you know. Be careful who you invest in. I'm talking not just financially, emotionally, and mentally. Be careful who you marry. They say it's about reciprocation. That's what it's supposed to be about, right? I ain't never been married a day in my life, but that's what they say. So, because I'm not saying she had to or should have stayed married to the man. That was her decision. She did what she felt like she needed to do. But I'm just saying, you know damn well your heart wasn't in the right place dealing with that man. When he was holding you down for years, it was all love. As soon as it was time for her to do the same, she said to hell with him. He had been doing it for 2 years. When she had to do it for 30 days, she had enough. She said to hell with him. Really, when you put that post up telling all of this, it's like you let every man in the world and on the internet know the type of person they would be dealing with if they wanted to holler at her. You know what I'm saying? That, for somebody like me, that's basically putting up the caution sign. It's like, thanks for the warning. As far as the friend, old boy's homie, now, it's what I don't get, man. He's seen how she did somebody, his friend. He's seen how she did old boy that she was in the actual marriage with for 2 years. Why do fools assume they're any different? Like there's no way he could end up in the same position as his man's. Not to mention the fact that he actually himself bought her off of him. The only reason she even giving you the time of day is because you had the bag and your friend didn't. He was down bad. You had the bag. She didn't hesitate. If it was that easy, you didn't sit, you didn't think, you didn't like. It's a mystery how him or any other man with this knowledge about a person could feel comfortable laying with somebody like that. But I do understand that a lot of y'all would do anything when it comes to a wet hole. I understand. Look how he did his homie. Man or woman, be mindful of who you deal with, invest in, interact with. In this case, it was a woman, but to the fellow black men, listen, when dealing with a woman, ask yourself, when dealing with that woman you want so bad, is she going to be there for the bad times too? Because let's face it, anybody can be there when it's all good and great. You understand? In this case, old boy, the husband, he knew what he was getting himself into. He knew she was about the bag. He knows how he got her. So I can't necessarily feel bad for him per se. And don't get it twisted to the ladies. Ain't nothing wrong with being about the bag. But I'm saying to the men again, you better make sure that she is also about you too. Don't be no damn fool. Nobody wants a woman that only wants him when he's spending. But that's just me. That's just me. If you don't leave with nothing else, leave with this. Keep in mind, after all you do for a person, no matter how good you are to that person, in the very end, they can still only be focused and remember the very worst about you. Mm, 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 mm. Fellas and ladies, leave your most honest comments. Please don't hesitate. I'm not opposed to opposite perspectives. Just keep it respectful. That's all I ask. Other than that, peace, love, positivity. I'm gone, Realest one.